Welcome to the Genealogy Happy Hour, a place where new family historians can learn to document their family histories and celebrate their new discoveries. I'm Amy.
And I'm Penny, and we're here to help you discover your family tree from the beginning. Welcome to episode 104. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about artificial intelligence and all those wonderful websites out there that will help us with our genealogy using artificial intelligence. But before we get into that, Amy, it's December. We're celebrating the holidays. What do we got?
Well, champagne, of course.
Of course.
Of course. And champagne from Champagne. So, where else would you get champagne from, right? But France. And one of my two favorite champagnes, I like Vive Clicquot, but today we're going to be featuring the champagne from the Pomeroy house. And one of the reasons that I like both of those champagnes is because they were both run by women back in the 19th century.
Nice.
So yeah, so we're doing the Pomeroy champagne, and it's wonderful because it has it's crisp. It's great for Christmas. It's of course great for New Year's.
Of course.
So
and my birthday, which is
that's
December.
right. Of course.
Celebrate
yes. That. So, and it's just peach, lemon, grapefruit, and dough with some honey. I think we had last month we had some honey mead.
We
so
did.
Now we're going to get into a very celebratory and festive mood with some Pomeroy champagne.
I love it.
All right. Imagine curling up in a cozy chair, scrolling through newspapers.com, and discovering a family member smiling back at you in a photo you've never seen before. Give the genealogy lover in your life a gift subscription to newspapers.com and make this a reality. They'll break through genealogy brick walls with access to hundreds of years of wedding announcements, obituaries, family stories, and so much more. There's always something new to discover on newspapers.com with a growing archive of over 1 billion pages from the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and beyond. Long after other gifts are forgotten, a newspapers.com gift subscription will continue to delight. Make the past the best present ever. For listeners of today's show, newspapers.com is offering 20% off gift subscriptions for a limited time. Just use the code HAPPYHOUR at checkout. All right, Penny. Well, you are the IT tech guru of Genealogy Happy Hour.
Okay, out of the two of us,
I know very little.
I know a little more. Okay.
So we're setting the listeners up to. This is very intro.
Very intro. But basically, we're not going to give you the whole history and backdrop of AI.
What is AI?
I will give you a little bit of that in a nutshell. But this podcast episode is to show you what you can do with AI for genealogy, or what we have done, or what we've used it for.
Correct.
All right, so exactly, what is AI in a nutshell? We all know it stands for artificial intelligence, but it's not the same thing as a search engine. We all have to remember that. It is not Google. Mm-hmm. AI, and especially tools like ChatGPT, Claude AI, Google's Gemini, work a bit differently. So ChatGPT, for instance, which is what I used for my examples here today, is the GPT part stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and it's built on something called a large language model, and it's trained on billions of pages of text. That means it doesn't just look up answers, but actually learns patterns in language so that it can respond in a conversational way. So for us, that means we need to think about how we phrase a question.
Right.
We have to watch what verbs
language
we use when we want a specific response from them. So choose your words carefully. Next time you're using an AI but try to be clear and specific with your wording to get the best results. And please always remember that AI can and probably will make mistakes. And it'll say that right down under your chat where you put in a thing. It'll say, this information may not be correct. We as genealogists have to check what we get.
Always, whether it's a document, yes, anything.
Always check what we get. And there are a ton of YouTube videos out there explaining AI in more depth. A lot of genealogists have things out there. There's a couple webinars on the legacy family tree about AI that go into a lot more depth on that. And that's not what I'm here to talk about, because I just wanted to understand it a little bit and then start using it, which I feel like a lot of us do, you know. So how can we use AI for genealogical research?
We can't just say, tell me who my great-grandparents were.
No, can't do that.
Okay.
It's not a search engine.
Got it.
But we could put something in for somebody who might have some history, like somebody who's got a little
so if my great-grandfather was some sort of was famous, it might find something.
It might find something because it's using these billions of text documents that it's trained on, and that it might be able to find something like that. But one of the things that I like it for is a translation or a transcription. It can translate from another language into English. If you put up a document from another country, or one of your German documents or one of your French documents, it can translate what it is in French into English. You have to double check. Doesn't always get it right, but it gives a good sense. You know, especially if it's like a birth, it'll tell you what the main words for the lines mean. Right. Doesn't always do. It depends on which one you're using.
Does it do handwriting?
It can do handwriting. I'm gonna get to that. That's my second one, is a handwritten document. So here's my example. This is in English. It's not in another language. I put in the adoption docket for my second great grand uncle William, which is handwritten in script, and I put it into ChatGPT, and it transcribed it for me. And I did specifically say, please transcribe this document. And it does it so fast. It's just amazing how fast it whips it up. Now, remember that I said it can make some mistakes, and it's important to check the names and dates or whatever. This one, the document helped me confirm the middle initials of my third-time great-grandparents and the dates of their death, and it was really accurate when I went over and compared the originals.
Document, right.
Very accurate. Then I put in the apprenticeship paperwork for my 2 times great-grandfather Calvin, brother to the Uncle William, and he was shipped off by my 3rd times great-grandmother's brother Edward Chapman Hill. I know I've mentioned him, not my favorite. For whatever reason, he didn't want to take care of these 2 small boys, and I shouldn't just instantly be like, oh, he didn't want them. I mean, there might have been financial difficulties or whatever, but I don't think so.
I remember I thought he was pretty well off.
He was pretty well off.
We drove around Ohio looking for these people. Okay.
He was pretty well off. So anyway, in this paperwork, the transcription did not get the dates correct. It read that he was 14 when it clearly shows the number 8, and the year saying it was 1857 when the year was 1874. He wasn't even born until 1866. So these were handwritten. Handwritten. So those things they didn't get correct. So again, you check the work, and some of these documents can be cumbersome to read through, and a transcription is very helpful, but it doesn't get it right every time. It's just still amazing to me.
But we have talked in other podcasts about the importance of transcribing those documents, the will, the probate, especially if it's in a different language, because you have to refer back to those throughout your research.
Yes.
And it may not be for 3 more years until you find another document. They're like, oh, I need to go back and look at that will again. Was this person mentioned in that will? And then if you have an AI being able to help you translate transcribe faster.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. So you can have that transcription right there, and you can just make the edits copy it,
Yeah.
save it into a
Verify
document,
it. Mhm.
and
So
you're
much
good.
faster than typing everything and
Oh
trying
my
to figure
gosh.
out all of the script
Oh
itself.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Right. When you're using AI, it is keeping a log on the side of all the things that you're doing. So if I started off with these two documents that are clearly related, they have the same people listed, and then I go into, I wanted to ask another question, it has that for reference now. It has
Okay.
all that information. I don't have to type any of that information in again, like birth dates.
So
or
it's
kids'
learning your
names.
family. It's learning your genealogy as you go
learning.
along.
Right. It's adding that to its.
And which AI did you use? Which
I use ChatGPT
Okay.
for this particular thing. I like to use Claude AI for the writing parts, but
to help you?
Claude did not do great with when I put in a document. It just
Really?
summarized. I was like, "Can you?"
It does summarize.
I said,
Yes, it
"Transcribe
summarized,
it,"
right.
and it summarized it.
Right.
And you can ask it to summarize this document, and they will give you the highlights. That's also really great too. So I did an experiment. Like I said, this is not Google at all. And so here's an example. I did put in experimenting with Edward Chapman Hill because he was a fairly notable figure in his county. So I put his name in. I said, can you give me a bio on Edward Chapman Hill? See if anything was in its repository. So it gave me a brief biography, and it mentioned the history of Hancock County, Ohio, as a book to further research. And I was like, oh, okay, that was nice. It added, gave me a place to go and look for more information. He's not listed in that book, but
it was trying to be helpful.
It was trying to be helpful. And it was a very brief biography too. This only works for somebody who is in their billions of documents. It's not for if I just listed maybe Calvin Burke instead, it would have said, sorry, I don't know anything about this guy. Or it might make up something. If I said create a bio for this guy, it might just give me
You're right, it
imaginary thing. So that is not really what this is for. But it can make a research plan for you, which is great for beginners. I wanted to do further research on Edward Chapman Hill, so I put into ChatGPT, create a research plan on Edward Chapman Hill, born 6 September 1842, married to Tasman Updegraff in 1866, and died 6 January 1916. Lived his entire life in Hancock County, Ohio. And it spit out 8 topics with bullet points for me to do some research, beginning with primary records and census, military service, and here it specifically mentioned looking up his service in the 21st Ohio Infantry on Fold 3.
Wow.
I was like, hey, what? I don't think he was in the war, so I promptly looked it up. He is not there. And I did a search on Family Search for the roster of the 21st Infantry. He is not there. And then I finally looked at the 1910 census where the code is if they've been in the war, and he was not.
Is it 21st Ohio Infantry where there are a lot of people from Hancock County in that infantry? So it probably just pulled Hancock County and matched it to that.
He's probably in here or whatever. So
that makes sense.
Did not get that right. That needed to be. That needed to go. But again, we have to double check what it tells us. We can't just be like, oh, he was in this, and then go on with that information, because that wasn't true. Next, it suggested land and property, including the agricultural census, as he owned a farm, and then local histories, favorite newspapers, and it listed a couple of the newspapers that I could look at, which I appreciated. It did list some that I was aware of. Probate, gravesite, family histories, and DNA. So this can be a great jumping off point for doing your research. And then, so let's say you did that and you want to write up. So we're going to go back to wanting a bio of my ancestor. So now I can list some information about him. I can list, a little bit more information, just some basic facts, and ask him to write up a summary about that person's life. And this was another thing I think is pretty cool. You can even ask it to write it for a 5-year-old to read the story. So I put in some basic basic facts about Edward, and anything additional than was already in there, because again, it's going to use everything.
It's pulling from those transcripts that you asked.
Right. I put in a couple extra facts about the nephews, and asked it to write a story that I could tell my grandchildren. So this is the story it wrote. Okay, remember.
This is the actual story.
Remember my feelings about Edward Chapman
Right.
Hill. Okay. Once upon a time, there lived a kind man named Edward Chapman Hill in a place called Hancock County, Ohio. Edward was born on September 6, 1642.
1842.
I'm sorry, 1842. And he grew up to be a farmer. In 1866, he married a lovely woman named Tasman Updegraff, and they shared a happy life. Edward had 2 nephews, Calvin and William. When Calvin and William's parents passed away, Edward took care of them. He helped William find a new family and found an apprenticeship for Calvin with a farmer named Mr. Shuck, where Calvin learned how to farm. Edward loved his family very much and always wanted the best for them. He lived a long, full life and passed away on January 6, 1916, leaving behind memories of his kindness and care. Okay. And so at this point, I could read that and go and make suggestions. Tell that story again, and Edward's not so nice. Or I could tweak it, and it would rewrite it to what I wanted. Yeah. So that was fun. So you can use ChatGPT, Claude AI to help you write your blog posts, to help you write up things about your family history. You put in the facts, it'll make this beautiful presentation, and you can tweak it. Make it more casual, make it more fun, make it more serious, make it, however, and it will adjust to what you are asking it to do. Yeah. And I have seen, we were talking about pictures before, that AI will
photograph, right?
Will take a photograph and kind of make it, I don't even know what the description is. It's not a cartoon, but it's more, I don't know, animated, kind of that looking.
Graphic.
I haven't played around with that too much, but that is something else to do. And it can also create a picture for you. If I said, create a picture of a genealogist working on their computer surrounded by photographs, it will create that picture. And then I can tweak it. I can say, okay, but I want him looking at me, or I want it to be a woman. And then it'll change. You just tweak your things as you go along.
I know that there isn't, are they using AI? Was it MyHeritage that started AI for using AI to enhance photographs, the old photographs, repair them, colorize them.
Yes.
If they've got a tear in them, it would create a new photo that was
right.
Yeah.
And all the big websites are using AI. You can't get away from it now. I mean, everybody is using AI to help locate things or find things. Another thing, one of our favorite things is timelines, and you can create timelines with AI. You can pop in your facts.
I can see how AI would create a timeline for your ancestor very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah, that would be a time-saving tool for sure.
Yeah, that would be great. And like I said, I asked him for a timeline for Edward Hill again, and it gave me the timeline, and it included that military thing. So I just said, I said, recreate the timeline minus the military. And it did. It just popped it out, and that was it. Just telling it that he wasn't in the military. Also, you can do charts and tables with your DNA matches. Like if you've got the centimorgan matches, and if you want to use those numbers, you can plug those numbers in and say create a chart showing the person's name, the relationship, all that stuff. So that's a great tool. Have you played around with it at all? Using it?
Not very much. I've started playing a little bit, but not very much.
Okay.
I'm letting you do the learning, and then you can just teach me.
I think my favorite is the transcription of the documents, because some of these handwritten documents are a bear to go through, and especially if you're looking at a probate, you can throw it up there and you can very quickly then see the names of the people without having to read all the other stuff to know.
The other thing I'm interested in with Claude is the synopsis. The summarization of an article. That might save time, or if you've got a couple photocopies of books, book pages, that you could quickly summarize it.
Yes.
I'm wondering how
Yes.
that would work too. I know that I have a subscription to American Ancestors, and their Spring 2024 Volume 25, number 1, is on the cover. It says how AI is changing genealogy, and they had an article this year on using AI in genealogy.
Yeah. I think it's a good tool to have. Obviously, we still have to do our checks. Make sure what the information is correct.
Are there some resources? Where can we go to get more information?
Yeah. So, like I said, Legacy Family Tree has, I think, 3 webinars.
Okay.
There's a few on YouTube. Blaine Bettinger's Facebook group, Genealogy and Artificial Intelligence, is a good place to go. He's, a big name in DNA. And then Steve Little has a website, AI Genealogy Insights, another place to go look.
Okay. And we'll have links to those
yes.
on our website? Cool.
Yes, if you want some further information about that.
Well, I'm excited to try it out on transcriptions and see how it does, because I've got a lot that I could,
I think of all those things that we're taking pictures of when we are on our research trips.
Right.
And
that's what I was thinking.
Haven't looked at.
Getting all of the stuff from our research trips, at least transcribed.
Yeah.
So that all I have to do is spend my time checking it rather than typing.
Transcribing
transcribing itself. Yeah. I want to see how well it does one of those. So that could be super helpful and really get you through a lot of those research tasks quickly. Yeah.
I remember one of our past podcasts, we did talk about doing the transcription and, having like a split screen and copy, up and down.
Right, which is great.
And it's fun, but man, this is so much easier. Right. And I'd rather have it done and then just kind of recheck, because I don't have to recheck every single word. I just have to recheck the names, the dates,
And I'm wondering if it would for instance, if you had, let's say you had a whole bunch of letters or correspondence from your great grandparents back and forth. I'm wondering if the AI would learn their handwriting. Like, it would improve the more that it saw their handwriting. I don't know. I'm thinking it probably would.
Good question.
If it saw the handwriting over and over again.
I'm not that techie enough to know.
I don't know. Oh, I was gonna say, Penny, would you find out about that?
Well, it's December. It's almost Christmas. Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays.
Happy holidays. Get that
champagne.
Get that sparkling soda out. Whatever it is that you celebrate with. Yeah. And so, Merry Christmas
and Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year. So exactly right.
We'll see you in 2025.
Yep.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening. Please email us with any questions or comments at genealogyhappyhour@gmail.com.
Visit our website, www.genealogyhappyhour.com, for additional resources, books, and wines. Don't forget to drink responsibly.
And never drink around genealogical documents.